we are 2 weeks away until Clash at the Castle, and Raw is kind of throwing everything plus the kitchen sink at us right now with all the stuff that's going down. Woo, we got a lot to talk about, but hi all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Raw Squad Review, your weekly Monday Night Raw review team. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, also known as El Jefe around the BC WrestlePod part. I am the man with half the plan, and the face that somewhat runs the place. And joining me after a bit of a brief hiatus last week as we kind of took it off, but back once again is my other co-host covering Monday Night Raw with me, Senor Luchadont. It's so nice to have you back, my friend.
I'm not wearing any pants.
I mean, to be fair, between where you live and where I live, it is hot and it is warm and it is also desert.
In the fiery armpits of hell.
Yes. So we're just trying not to move because if
still better than SmackDown though.
Oh my goodness! Well, the SmackDown team might have a bit of a different opinion, but we can collide. We can clash a little bit later. But we got a lot to cover. A very, very heavy Judgment Day centric episode this week from Monday Night Raw. They were in 3 in-ring segments, plus matches, plus backstage segments. They pretty much were all over Raw, and then everybody else is like, "Oh yeah, we forgot. We're also doing these too."
It's how do we keep Judgment Day relevant without Mommy?
That is also very fair because eventually, I swear, if we do not get custody of Dom in the ladder match at SummerSlam, I'm gonna be very upset. Part two. Poor Dom, him and his custody battles. But now that we have hydrated, let's jump into it. Because Monday Night Raw kicks off this week with, I want to say now she's a stalker, especially all the antics that I've seen online now.
Dude, on social media, do you see her liking all of Dom's reels?
and
Dom posts about it, is like, what the fuck are you doing? And then Liv responded and goes, I like when my man shows me off.
But this is getting out of hand and I love it. But Liv Morgan comes down to the ring and she begins her promo by recapping what happened last week. Which the funny thing is that the rest of the world saw the kiss that happened. Us here in the States didn't get to see it if we watched it live, but they uploaded it on social media for us to see it. It was like, way to go, Runtime.
Dude, it's that damn mullet. He gets Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, you fucking bastard.
I mean, over on the SmackDown crew, me and Minnie figured out what the professor's type was, and yeah, it's Rhea for sure. But
Rhea's everybody's type.
I mean, that's also very, very fair. But Liv Morgan begins to cut her promo. She recaps the kiss. She talks about how she's going to continue to be on this revenge tour. And then Dominic Mysterio interrupts. Poor man can't even get 5 words in because everyone's still booing him, which is fantastic. But
why they're still doing it?
They are. My favorite line of this whole entire thing is when Dominic said is that, mommy's going to be mad at you. And Liv's like, well, she's going to be mad at you too. Because Dominic isn't necessarily stopping everything. Liv is trying to get closer to Dom, but then Finn Balor, as the Giga Bro he is, steps in between, tells Liv to leave. Liv exits the ring, plays with Dominic's hair for a little bit, and then she proceeds to leave.
It should have been me.
The Dolph Ziggler ring. It should have been me. This is not the last time we're going to see this. Also, when we get to it, I'll discuss it more, but I'm just going to preface by saying it. Pat McAfee, you were so out of pocket. I love you.
Dude, Pat McAfee's hilarious. I still can't get over Dominic Mysterio looks like a dude wipe after you wipe.
Pat McAfee, the fact that he can say these kinds of things and get away with it is fantastic, but we'll return to the saga that is the Judgment Day this episode, because we get our first match, and this was a banger, as the kids say. Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. They beat the piss out of each other.
Can't believe we won.
That's the surprising part. So fast forwarding through everything, and we'll dissect the match a little bit. Sheamus looks to go for the win, but Ludwig does the surprise pin roll-up combination. Even though Sheamus's foot was technically on the rope, Ludwig got the win, and he beat Sheamus. Honestly, I'm not upset about that, but yeah.
It looks good. Yeah. It's really good. I'm just surprised. Papa H is doing something.
That is absolutely true.
You got some plans.
am excited to see what happens with Ludwig and Sheamus going forward. But man, the chests were red by the end of this match on both men. They just slapped the
Sheamus's
crap out of
chest
each
is
other.
always red after a match because he's so white. Like, you just touch his chest and it's red.
I mean, that's also very, very fair. But yeah, this was just a straight up brawl, not even a wrestling match. They were just trying to kill each other and hurt each other. And Ludwig picks up the win. We'll see if Sheamus wants to get another rematch, or, if it's going to Sheamus versus Gunther might be a thing for a little bit as we await for Gunther to face Damian or Drew at SummerSlam. I thought this was a fun opener. This was really great. Now we return to the Judgment Day.
More
Because
Judgment Day.
Yes, so Finn, Dominic, and JD are talking about what happened at the beginning of Raw. Damian comes in and is like the disgruntled dad. He's like, y'all, I leave you alone for 5 minutes and it's already, I got to put out multiple fires. What the flip happened? Damian's tired of cleaning up after
and he was like, Finn's like, I've got everything under control. Everything's fine. And Dominic's like, yeah, everything's fine. And Damian was like, is it? How's mommy feeling?
And Dominic's just like,
he deflected that question so quick.
Yeah,
giving her space.
But she's doing okay. I was like, the plot thicket. This is so telenovela drama. I'm so here for it. Again, we'll come back to the Judgment Day because they will be making a reappearance later in the show. Well, speaking of which, Finn Balor's got unfinished business to attend to, apparently, because he goes on to have a match versus Dragon Lee. I'm going to pull at Andrew here because Andrew gives me lots and lots of crap for how I do these things. So I'm going to pull an Andrew, just go in the order that was shown on my television screen. So first, we get a Dragon Lee entrance. Then we go to commercial. When we come back from commercial, Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov are talking about. Ilya is telling Ricochet he should probably think twice about maybe going in his current state against Braun Breaker. Ricochet says, nah, fam, I got this. And that is the end of that.
Ilya's a terrible friend.
I'm just like,
probably shouldn't do this. No, you know what? I have to. You know what? Yeah, that we're those kind of people. We have to do these things on the edge.
I was like,
terrible friend.
I was like, terrible friend. But that is not the last time we will see these two in this capacity. We go back to the ring. Dragon Lee still making his entrance. And then we play a video package for Dragon Lee. And then we get Finn Balor's entrance. And then we finally get the match itself.
Another surprising one. Finn Balor won.
Yes, Finn Balor did win, but even more surprisingly, it was through the help of Carlito. I was like, here we go. Carlito can't stop messing with the LWO, folks, because Carlito is now trying to get in with the Judgment Day. But Finn Balor ends up pulling the victory out of here. This was a fun enough match. Again, love me some Dragon Lee. Finn Balor is always fantastic. Again, Judgment Day are picking up a win here. I feel that Papa H is listening to us because I know that at least I've been complaining about how much Judgment Day has been losing most of the time right now. But Finn rectifies that because he picks up a win for Judgment Day. And, speaking of which, we go backstage after commercial where Judgment Day once again is in the promo. This time they're talking to Carlito. Damian Priest tells Carlito if he wants in on the Judgment Day, you need to handle your business in order to be there. So Damian's going to give Carlito a thing to do week by week. And this week's task is he needs to take care of the Braun Strowman problem. So he needs to find Adam Pearce, Mr. Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce himself, and get a match with Braun Strowman. And he needs to do it tonight. So as Carlito is contemplating life and death, who should pop into frame but R-Truth, who gives Carlito some words of advice about, being in the Judgment Day is a roller coaster. And then the Miz comes up to ground R-Truth, and then R-Truth gaslights Miz, saying it's like, your obsession with the Judgment Day is out of hand, Miz. You need to get it together. R-Truth is a national treasure.
I love R-Truth.
And then Carlito goes back to contemplating life and death.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Judgment Day this whole entire episode. So I swear I'm not just bringing them up because I like all the people involved, but they were involved in a lot this episode. So we put a pin in the Judgment Day because then, and I want to get your thoughts, Senor Luchadon, the Sami Zayn, Alpha Academy, Chad Gable storyline, because Sami Zayn gets in the ring, cuts this promo, he calls out Chad Gable, but Alpha Academy, appear instead. So Maxine, Akira Tozawa, and Otis, and they have a letter from Master Gable, as he puts it. I'm
Dude,
like,
he is he is such a slimy, good fucking heel.
I was like, again, he's giving me Perk Angle vibes. It's crazy, but Maxine reads the note, and the only way that Chad says that he will leave Alpha Academy alone and stop berating him is if Sami Zayn gives him another championship match for the Intercontinental Championship. And Sami, being our good baby face that he is, because he loves Otis and Akira and Maxine, says that that's the only way that's going to get Chad Gable to stop being a turd. Then he accepts the challenge and he will defend the title against Chad at Clash at the Castle, which, spoiler alert, at the time of this recording, that match has been officially announced on the social media. So we are getting Sami versus Chad at Clash at the Castle. Honestly, I'm kind of hyped about that match. But before we get into what happens when Chad Gable comes into the thing, Senor Luchador, what are your thoughts about everything so far?
I think this is where Otis finally turns against him. But I still feel like Chad Gable's going to win due to the Creed brothers.
Ooh, that is definitely a good thing for sure. So now let's get into the second half of this whole entire promo, because Chad Gable comes out. He begins attacking Sami Zayn. Akira and Maxine try to stop Chad and beg him to stop, but he doesn't listen. He tells him to get out of the ring. Poor Otis is like cowering in the corner. Then Chad tells Akira and Maxine to get out of the ring. He begins berating them. And then on top of that, he yells at them and calls them worthless, which then prompts Otis to stand between Chad and the rest of Alpha Academy. That crowd popped so hard for that moment. So good. But then tragedy struck as Sami Zayn was fighting Chad Gable. Chad Gable, with Otis's back turned to Maxine and Akira Tozawa, Chad throws Sami into Otis, which causes Otis to launch Akira and Maxine to the floor. Otis gets upset thinking it was Sami, and he attacks Sami. And then he picks up Akira Tozawa, puts him on the shoulder, and then he carries Maxine Dupree to the back as Chad Gable is continuing to stomp on Sami, holding the title as this whole segment ends. Senor Luchador, like, this is my favorite story right now that Raw's got going on.
So, dude, he's like the gaslighter too, because he said like, "Oh, you guys did such a good job. Oh, you totally didn't mean to fall. You did it on purpose to make it look like you guys are doing a good job. We're gonna win this Intercontinental Champion." And Maxine's like, "No, you hurt me. I did actually fall. You bitch."
Oh my goodness. I'm really excited, and as of right now, this is the match that I'm probably the most hyped for. And I'm very interested to see what happens because, as we know, Chad Gable's contract with WWE is up officially this Friday. So depending on what happens with a lot of things,
A lot of contracts are up right now.
Yeah, a lot of contracts are up. Like we talked to me, Minnie, and the professor talked about this on SmackDown, but Becky Lynch is now a free agent. Ricochet's contract is up in the summer. We have Chad Gable's contract is up this Friday. There's a couple of folks who are looking to see who to re-sign and whether WWE will re-sign them, but we shall see what happens with all that. I'm super excited for the Intercontinental Championship match at Clash of the Castle. This is probably one of my favorite Raw storylines going on right now. So this is going to be intriguing for sure.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, so am I. Alrighty. So we leave Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, and we cut backstage to Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce, who's watching everything unfold, and him and Braun Breaker have an exchange. Braun Breaker's just like, yeah, I like that, seeing violence and whatnot. And Adam Pearce is like, you're lucky that you're even getting this match after you're fine. But Braun says, it's like, this is your fault for not putting me and King in the ring. So I'm going to decimate this whole roster, and you are going to watch with a front row seat before he leaves. Oh my gosh, this is... Braun Breaker's a menace, and I'm kind of glad this is how we're presenting him for sure.
Oh my god, this is the perfect way to like have Braun be on the main roster.
Oh, for sure. This is going to be fantastic. Well, speaking of Braun Breaker, we move on and we get another solid match, Ricochet versus Braun Breaker. We get Ricochet's entrance. Then we talked about the Alpha Academy thing. Then Braun Breaker's entrance. And then we get the match. This match, oh my gosh, it was so good. Ricochet's great, but that finisher with Braun, the Frankensteiner into the spear, my god.
Dude, he's too big to be doing this shit.
He's a big boy, but he's agile and he's got it. I was just
He's
like,
athletic as fuck.
and Ricochet sells it so well too. He was like, oh, this man just broke in half. Like, this man just broke in half. But as Braun Breaker, after the match, he picks up the victory as he's looking to break Ricochet even more. Ilya Dragunov comes for the save, and next week we're getting Ilya versus Braun Breaker. Something tells me Ricochet gets involved. Please give me a triple threat at Clash at the Castle. That's what I want to see. I'm not ready for a triple threat between these three, but it would be fantastic for sure.
Oh, dude, give it to me.
For sure. Give it to me now. So next, this is where kind of things slow down in Raw because we get a backstage segment with LWO. Rey Mysterio is telling Dragon Lee not to worry about everything. He's with Selena. He's going to take care of Damian Priest tonight. Spoiler alert, he did not. Then we get this is where Pat McAfee gets out of pocket because then we get like a football replay of what happened with Liv and Dom with the analysis by Pat McAfee. This was so out of pocket. I loved it so much.
Pat McAfee.
He is a menace for sure.
A menace.
Which then leads it to a very short women's match, Natalya versus Kiana James. Kiana James in her debut match since being called to the main roster from NXT. This is a short 2.5-minute match. Kiana James picks up the victory. Natalya once again is losing, which, is nothing new for her at this point. Moving on.
Yeah, but at least we got Kiana James. Like, at least she's putting over younger, newer talent.
Yeah, at least Natalya is putting over Kiana, and I'm very interested to see where we go with Natalya because of what happens later in the evening. But now we're backstage with Kofi and Xavier New Day. So they're talking about their upcoming match going up against the Authors of Pain later in the evening. And Karrion Kross interrupts. Kofi Kingston doesn't want to hear none of it, so he leaves, and then Karrion talks to Xavier Woods. Xavier doesn't say anything and just walks away. I'm like, what is going on with the New Day and Karrion Kross? It's so weird, but I'm kind of intrigued of what's going to happen.
At least Karrion's doing something and not just being generic wrestler 34.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be fantastic. I think I'm hoping there's some good stuff. Which then we go another backstage segment. Natalya gets approached by Sonya Deville. Natalya is tired of how things are going and it's time for a new change. So Sonya tells Natalya, let's go talk. So Natalya and Sonya, we'll see what that comes from it. I'm excited without this, which leads into our secondary squash match of the evening. Carlito versus Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman easily beats up Carlito. But once again, who should return but the Judgment Day, specifically Finn, Dom, Liv, and JD. They beat up Braun Strowman with the chair.
Liv is not part of Judgment Day.
Let's be real. She's about to be. But the boys, minus Damian Priest, take care of Braun Strowman. JD was throwing some nasty chair shots and then attacking the knee. And then that's how we finally beat Braun Strowman. So honestly, this was kind of a nice glimpse of what Judgment Day would look like not having Damian and Rhea in it. I was like, ooh, this is about to be interesting, but we shall see what happens with that. Then we get Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill coming down to the ring. They want to have a match. Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler interrupt to get said match. Adam Pearce makes said championship match. Match goes pretty well for like about 9 minutes before Alba Fire and Isla Dawn cause the DQ. I'm like, I smell a triple threat at Clash of the Castle.
It's really interesting how they're the ones that came out. Like,
yeah.
Why don't you let them get the pin and shit? But okay.
That's fine, I guess. Well, the funny thing is that I figure because since Clash of the Castle's in Scotland, I was like, yep, all the Scottish people got to be on there. So Drew, Piper's going to be there. You have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn too. I was like, throw all the Scottish people on your roster on this pay-per-view.
All the Scottish and European people.
Now we just need Joe Hendry to make an appearance.
You watch your mouth.
No, because...
Now it's stuck in my head.
You're very welcome.
You're right. You say his name and he appears.
I'm so excited. That would be fantastic. It's so good. I don't care what nobody says. So... backstage, Damian Priest is getting ready for his match. Drew McIntyre interrupts because we got that match happening at Clash at the Castle in 2 weeks. And then, main event, Jey Uso enters the arena, not through the entranceway, but through the crowd. And he declares
Yet,
himself for Money in the Bank. So it's like, we got participant 1, and I'm already excited.
dude, and they did it early too.
Yep, I was just like, Money in the Bank is not until the first week of July, but we got to start getting people in there because once we're done with Clash at the Castle, I believe we only have like 2 or 3 weeks until Money in the Bank in Canada. But I'm excited to see Jay. I think Jay deserves to be in that match. And who
I
else?
think he should win that match.
Well, I'm pulling for Jay, or it'd be kind of interesting if Finn wins, but I got to see who the rest of the field looks like, and then we can go from there. Lyra Valkyria is interviewed next backstage as she says that Becky is disappointed with how last week's match, happened the way it did, but she'll be okay. And then Io Sky just obliterates Lyra, so it seems that we're going to be doing Io versus Lyra for a little bit, and I'm kind of here for it because both of them are fantastic.
Gives them both something to do.
Exactly. So next, we also get another squash match, New Day versus Authors of Pain. This doesn't go for too long. Poor New Day. They tried, but Authors of Pain were too much. And
Weird. I don't like seeing a New Day lose. I'm not happy about it. But
I know a lot of people have been saying this because they want the New Day to... Everyone wants to see the New Day go heel, but I was just like, I don't think the New Day should go heel. I think it's time for them to split up. Just kidding. Yeah, well, not really. They've been together for almost 10 years. I think it's time for Kofi and Xavier to try to do some single stuff now, too. Because I love them as a tag team. They define the tag team division forever. But I feel that we can start pushing them as single stars.
yeah, like unless like Big E Langston comes back, yeah.
Yeah. Because the New Day has gone through everything. But, we'll go from there. So backstage, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn talk to Adam Pearce, and it seems, because even though we don't have the official graphic yet, Clash at the Castle's happening soon, and they want to go after those tag titles. And I say, make it happen, Scrap Daddy. Let's do it. Now, Scrap Daddy Adam Pearce. That was his moniker when he was in the wrestling ring. Scrap Daddy.
Is that really what it was?
That's what it really was, and you can check with JVL on that one because JVL knows more about that than I do. But I looked it up and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right."
That is hilarious.
It is. So we finally get to our main event of Monday Night Raw this week, and this was a non-title match: Damian Priest versus Rey Mysterio. This was a really good TV match. It was nice back and forth. Rey Mysterio, man. I'm gonna cry when he retires, like, because he doesn't got a lot in the tank left. Like, we're almost there. I was like, damn, you defied like 20 plus years of wrestling. It's crazy. But ultimately, Damian Priest does pick up the win with South of Heaven for the win. And then all the stuff happened afterwards because shenanigans went down. Drew McIntyre comes out and he beats up on Damian Priest. But then the numbers game is too much for Drew as the rest of Judgment Day come down. They put Drew through a table, and that is how Monday Night Raw goes off the air this week. Lots of Judgment Day this week. It was kind
Lots
of crazy.
Judgment Day, and it looks like Drew McIntyre is winning.
I think, yeah, based on what we've been seeing so far, I was going to say I think Damian Priest's title run is coming to an end very, very soon. And like I was telling, a good friend of mine, Senior Luchador knows this person too. Like I was telling Uriel yesterday, catching him up on wrestling. I said this could go one of two ways. Either Drew becomes champion at Clash at the Castle, or we get another run-in interference by a certain CM Punk to cost Drew the title once again, which, if Punk is ready to go, sets up a feud for SummerSlam, or Drew is going to be holding that title for who knows how long. But Senior Luchador, we reached the end of this week's Raw Squad review, so let's get into our final thing here, which is to give our Empanada ratings. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this Monday Night Raw?
I give it 7. 7 is established. I like some of the things they did. Actually, no, I'm gonna think I'm gonna give it an 8. Actually, there was not a lot I didn't like. Like, I wish Natalia's match had a little bit more time. But other than that, it was very solid. Raw is gonna be a hard press for me to get a 10 because it's 3 fucking hours long. But
it's like we're 1 hour short of a pay-per-view runtime with Monday Night Raw each week. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna give this like a 8 out of 10 for Monday Night Raw. Again, I feel that, and I said the biggest critique is that it's really tough because without Punk and without Seth, you got to rely on who you have. So I like the Drew and Damian feud. We're getting that all set up. We're looking to maybe get a tag team championship match at Clash of the Castle. But Sami Zayn and Chad Gable is my favorite story going in Raw right now. And I don't care if Sami is playing the babyface once again. Sami's good as an underdog babyface, but I want to see Chad Gable run with this title because, if Chad wins it, I would love to see Chad versus Otis at SummerSlam for that title.
Chad versus Otis at SummerSlam. Otis holds it till Mania. Braun Breaker kills him at Mania for it.
We're getting Ilya versus Braun Breaker next week, and Monday Night Raw is about to take my money because I was like, that's also the match I'm looking forward to the most next week. I think Ricochet gets involved. Give me Papa H, give me a triple threat match at Clash at the Castle between these three. I need it. Woo!
Papa H, give us all the things.
Seriously, it's going to be fantastic. Well, that's going to be it for us here at the Raw Squad review. Tune in next week as we get closer to Clash at the Castle. But from us here at the Raw Squad and the rest of the BC WrestlePop boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and most importantly, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you on the flip side, but until then, ta-ta for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.